Now I'm going to give you this chart, and you can get this. Some of this chart is in the Heaven book that you've all got, and you can download this chart individually if you want to, and you can pass it out in a Sunday school class or whatever. It's online at our website. 3 eras of earth and mankind. So think of the past, the present, and the future. Here we have this beautiful thing. You've got Genesis 1 and 2. And you've got God's ideal creation as He first made it. You've got Revelation 21 and 22, the last 2 chapters of the Bible, where you have God's new or renewed creation, new heavens, new earth. Everything in between is fall and final judgment. You can even get Genesis 3 and Revelation 20 into the act, because Genesis 3 starts with sinlessness, and during the chapter comes sin, the fall. And then Revelation 20, which is the third, so the chapters 1, 2, 3, and then there's chapter 22, the last chapter, 21, the second to last chapter, and the third to last, Revelation 20, is the judgment. Sin comes into the world, Genesis 3. Sin is decisively judged and ended, Revelation 20. All was good before Genesis 3. All will be good for God's children after Revelation 20. And everything in between, Genesis 3 to Revelation 20, is fallen mankind, fallen earth. And so in the chart, you see the idea. Here's the original, and then there's the fallen, and then the future has resurrected mankind, resurrected earth. In Genesis 1 and 2, God delegates reign to innocent mankind. And now in the present era, we have disputed reign with God and Satan and fallen mankind. And then what do you see in Revelation 21, 22? You see the servants of God serving Him on a renewed, resurrected earth for all eternity, having righteous dominion over the world to the glory of God. Sound familiar? Like what God commanded in Genesis 1 and 2? Commanded in the first 2 chapters, ruined, redeemed through the blood of Christ, and ultimately His return, and then setting up His eternal kingdom, and then righteous men and women rule the earth to the glory of God for all eternity. Satan didn't win. He won't win. God wins. And you know what? If you think that the gospel is that God had this plan for perfect man and woman to rule the earth to His glory, Satan and Adam and Eve messed it all up, and now the best God could do was to send His Son down the world so that our souls and spirits could be snatched out of this world to live in a disembodied angelic existence forever. That's not the gospel. That's got part of the gospel in it, but it's a very truncated gospel. Because Jesus didn't just come into the world to redeem us. He came to redeem the world itself. And we'll see that in Romans 8, which is so emphatic on this subject. So, mankind was given dominion with intended stewardship of the earth. Mankind's dominion was thwarted and frustrated and twisted, but then ultimately it will be fulfilled, a redeemed stewardship of the earth. So you had in Genesis 1 and 2, God was in heaven, and He'd come down in the cool of the day and visit with Adam. And then now you have God in heaven, separate but actively involved in this world, and He indwells believers by His Spirit. And then in Revelation 21 and 22, you have God living forever with mankind on the new earth. God with us forever. No curse in Genesis 1 and 2. Sin and curse in the present. Blessing too. It's not all sin and curse. God is at work in the lives of his people, and he extends not only saving grace, but common grace. And an unbeliever can do a good thing, but the power through which they do that good thing is that God has made them in their image. And God can use the life of an unbeliever. God can use a stage drama, a book written by an unbeliever, a musical composition, a song written by an unbeliever, performed by an unbeliever. God can use it. But that's his common grace at work in the world. And certainly God works through his people. But one day there will be no more curse. There was no curse in Genesis 1 and 2. There will be no curse in Revelation 21 and 22. The great thing is, Revelation 21 and 22, like Genesis 1 and 2, are 2 chapters. But that's, as Lewis said at the end of the Chronicles of Narnia, this is the story where every chapter is better than the one before, and it goes on forever. And the story continues and continues and will never end, to the glory of God. So, all of these contrasts, this chart's in your book, so I won't continue to go through it, but I'll mention this one. The first Adam reigns, then the first Adam falls and reigns corruptly, and then the second Adam reigns as the God-man with mankind as co-heirs and delegated kings. King of kings. Him the king with the capital K, singular. Us the kings, lowercase, plural. So the serpent, Satan's on earth, and then the serpent's judged, and then the serpent ultimately in Revelation 21, actually the end of Revelation 20, is removed and will never be on the earth again. Will never be on the new earth, thrown into the eternal fire. So, I mean, the comparison and contrast goes on, and it's just absolutely fascinating. All beauty in the world is either a memory of paradise or a prophecy of the transfigured world. If you see Genesis 1 and 2, the cross of Christ and the resurrection of Christ, and then out here, the promises of eternity future, it utterly transforms how you view your life on earth. Do you see why? Because what is happening today is not the final chapter. And what will happen in eternity will actually demonstrate that even many of the bad things that happen, all of the bad things that happen to God's children here and now, He promises to work together for our good. Now wait a minute, that's impossible. Because you talk about rape and assault and dismemberment and the horrific things that happen in this world. Well, Romans 8 is either true or it's false. If it's false, let's go home. Let's find something else to do the next couple of days. Come on. But if it's true, and I believe it is, and I think most of you believe it is, that is a radical statement, but it can't be left to what happens in this life, because this life is full of injustices. And if you have to get justice for every bad thing that has happened to you in this life, I feel sorry for you. You're going to be a pathetic, resentful, angry, bitter person. But if you recognize, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And do what Peter says, entrust yourself to a faithful Creator who does all things right and all things well, it just simply transforms everything.